Hey, I'm Andrew.
And I'm Chris. We're the hosts of True Believers, a comic book podcast, our weekly show about all things comics.
Welcome to episode 22 of True Believers. It's our second holiday episode, and this week, by popular demand or whatever, we will be covering 2019 Shazam, directed by David F. Sandberg.
Okay, so Shazam. Originally called Captain Marvel, Shazam was created by C.C. Beck and Bill Parker in 1939. Shazam is the alter ego of orphan preteen Billy Batson, a boy who, by saying the magic word Shazam, can turn into an adult with superhuman abilities. Shazam is the name of the wizard who gives him the powers, and it's an acronym that represents the six immortal elders gave him the magic powers. He's got the wisdom of Solomon, the strength of Hercules, the invulnerability of Atlas, the lightning of Zeus, the courage of Achilles, and the speed of Mercury. Based on sales, Captain Marvel was the most popular comic book superhero of the 1940s, and he was the first comic book superhero to have film adaptation. Post 1970s, because as you know, many people may know, there is another Captain Marvel, several in Marvel Comics. So post the 1970s, he wasn't really marketed as Captain Marvel. He was marketed as Shazam. So everybody thought his name was Shazam, even though it was still Captain Marvel. But in the New 52, they did change that. So his name is Shazam. And he's got his little Shazam squad. He's got his sister. He's got his foster brother, Freddie Freeman, other people. And in the New 52, he developed the rest of the Shazam fam.
I like that.
It just felt good in the moment.
The Shazam fam. I like it.
I'm kind of feeling it, actually.
Yeah, no, it wasn't that bad. It was good. The Shazam fam. It almost rhymes. It's just like the Z ruins it. You know what I mean? It's like so close to rhyming. Oh, it's like annoyingly close.
It's like when Snoop Dogg, when he'll say the most ridiculous things, but he's the master of a slant rhyme because he gonna throw that Izzle on there. He'd be like, Izzle for shizzle, and you'd be like, yeah. And then he'll throw one word in, and you're like, you can't add an Izzle on there, Snoop.
Yeah, if you're Snoop, you can. Anybody else would be ridiculous. But he's gonna make those words rhyme. He's gonna do that.
Period. Also, unrelated, really quick. Do you think Snoop Dogg gets to be in the top 10 of rappers turned actors? Because I think by pure volume of content Snoop Dogg has put out, he deserves to be in the conversation.
I feel like he's easily top 5.
Period.
Yeah, because I would say so. Like there's some better, he might even be top 1 just depending on my Snoop mood for the day.
Because there's nobody, I mean, aside from like Ice-T, who's been on SBU for like 20 years, there's nobody who has the same level of pure content that Snoop Dogg is putting out, because Snoop Dogg will take any check. They're like, you want to be on La La Loopsy? He'll be like, I sure do, Doopsy.
I feel like it's the other way around. He's like, I want to be on La La Loopsy, and who's going to say no to Snoop Dogg?
You're absolutely right.
He wakes up one day and he's just like, this is what I want to do, and he's going to do it. If he wants to be there, he's going to be there.
He's going to show up. Okay, so now Captain Marvel, I mean Shazam. I had to take a little moment. I was like, okay, if I get struck by lightning.
Shit. If I get struck by lightning and I got the powers of Shazam, I think I'd be pretty okay with that.
It would be a bad idea to give me those powers because I'm using them for evil.
Yeah, it's already been well established that we're going to be villains, but still, like, he's got amazing powers, you know?
I mean, I could do with half that. All I really need is the strength of Hercules, the invulnerability of Atlas, and I say the lightning of Zeus, so I could just be Has.
I just need to fly. I feel like I could tear it up if I could just fly like as fast as he does. That's all I need.
Maybe I just need the speed.
That's what I'm saying. Just the speed would be enough for me. Because you ain't going to catch me.
I would be a great mob enforcer if I had super speed, because I would tell people crazy stuff. Like, if you don't do what I say, I'm going to take this spoon and I'm going to vibrate my hand so fast that I stick it directly in the middle of your kneecap.
I don't think he can move that fast.
The Flash can, so why can't he? He has the speed of Mercury. Mercury is a god.
Yeah, but he's not as fast as the Flash.
Hey, you know, they ain't never raced.
I'm pretty sure it was established the Flash is the fastest person in DC. Barry Allen was, I think.
So Shazam can fly at the speed of light, which makes him faster than almost anybody else. But Barry Allen and Wally West can move at a speed faster than light. They would have to push themselves, but at least 2 Flashes are faster than Shazam.
See, I knew it.
This movie is insane because it, like, for the first time, I think somebody has made a movie with the understanding that we all should have, that superhero movies should be for kids.
Yeah, absolutely. This movie is absolutely for kids. I
loved it.
Yeah, no, they definitely knew what they were doing here.
This is like my 3rd time watching it, and I forgot how batshit insane it was. Because it is. The movie starts off with a carnival, like they're at a winter carnival, and it's just a little kid Billy with his mom. She looks like she's struggling, and she's like, it's okay. Like he's like, Mom, I want this toy, and she sucks. She can't throw, so she gives him a little shitty compass, and she's like, here, so you can always find your way back home. But then he gets lost in the crowd, and he's just sitting there with the police, abandoned as hell. I was like, what the hell is this? Meet the Robinsons? I've never seen somebody just get abandoned in the first 5 minutes of a movie like this.
Yeah, because
it was fucked up.
Yeah, it was fucked up. It was really sad because you're sitting there like, damn, this poor child.
The thing that's funny about it is that like a lot of kids media is scared to go too dark. And I've met kids who were going through stuff like this, and I was like, their lives already suck. They would just appreciate the representation. So
it was literally like that Dr. Seuss book that's like, that's not Dr. Seuss. Are You My Mother? Whatever, whoever wrote that, I don't know. Because he's like walking around trying to find his mom, and then he finds this random lady. He's like, Mom, and she's like, nah, son, that's not me.
I think it's by somebody whose name is like Eastman. Eastman.
PD Eastman.
PD Eastman. Cool. Oh, looks like we're defeating the notes this episode. Not us knowing our shit. For once.
For once. It's okay. We'll ruin it at some point.
No, so as the movie goes on, you see preteen Billy Batson. He's talking to some cops outside a store, and he's like, oh boy, golly gee willikers, officers, the miscreants are in there. As soon as I saw them going in for their nefarious deeds, I made sure to make a call. So the cops go in, they search the place, and he throws the gate down. So they're locked in, and he gets in the cop car to look up his mom's information. Like, this is a thing he's apparently been doing. He's looking for her. And here's where he fucks up. He steals the cop's lunch.
Yeah, that would have pissed me off too. Are you kidding me? But we also skipped the very, very beginning of the movie, which is when Dr. Savannah's in the car as a child.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's an important part, you know.
Listen, I forgot about him because...
I try to forget about Dr. Savannah, period.
I don't. He was fine.
I hate Dr. Savannah, but yeah. Who was it, Mark Strong?
Yeah. In comics, Dr. Savannah is gross. He's this gross little man with a giant head. But in the movie, it was Mark Strong.
Like I said, if there's going to be a bald character, it's either going to be Mark Strong or Stanley Tucci. They're going to show up.
Or it'll be Bruce Willis.
That's a different kind of character, though.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that he's got a very specific set of skills.
Listen, I would actually like to see Stanley Tucci in like a physical action role like this. I think he would kill it.
I think he could. I don't think he wants to.
Probably not. He's like, listen, I'm already a great actor. I don't need to be flipping and jumping. I ain't young no more. That's for the 20-year-olds. I'll let them have that.
Yeah, I found out that he sometimes, well, all the time, whenever he is in a movie or something, and he makes cocktails at the end of the day for everybody who wants one. I was like, I love this man.
Period. I can't wait to work with you someday, Stanley Tucci.
He'll make you a good martini. He likes making martinis, apparently. I learned this last night.
Unfortunately, the last time I had a martini, somebody made me laugh and it came out of my nose. So I don't think I'll ever drink another one.
If Stanley Tucci makes me a martini, I don't give a fuck. I don't even like olives. I'll drink that shit. It's Stanley Tucci.
You're right. Okay, so Thaddeus Savannah and his shitty older brother and his dad, who is DC. One thing about DC Comics, if you in a DC Comics property, they're going to stick beside you because his dad is played by John Glover, who plays Lionel Luthor in Smallville. Mm-hmm. So they're all in a car and he's shaking a figure 8 ball. A magic 8 ball. And his brother like takes it and he's like, is Dad ever going to become a real man? And he's like, not legally. And he's like, Dad, because his brother is like significantly older than him and is just straight up bullying him. And his dad is like, you got to be a man on your own time, son. And I'm like, what the hell? You're just teaching your older son that it's okay to be a bully. And you're teaching your younger son to be antagonistic towards your older. Yeah. See, this is horrible parenting. You could have stopped this.
It's literally like they're all in the car together and he's like 2 feet away from the dad. The older brother is. It's like you totally could have and should have done something. So yeah.
Especially because you're driving. Like you need to tell him, hey, stop all that shit.
Yeah, stop fucking bullying your brother. What the hell? Yeah.
And he's like, nah, you're never going to be a man if I have to step in. What? That don't even make sense, John Glover. Shut the hell.
So anyway, so Dr. Savannah, he gets transported to the Rock of Eternity. He gets tested to see if he can get the power of Solomon or Shazam. Basically, it doesn't work because if you know
Well,
anything about
he
Dr.
got tested
Savannah,
to see if he was pure of heart because the wizard Shazam is like, listen, I only give my powers to somebody who is pure of heart, who's good and noble. And he gets tempted by the 7 deadly sins. He's like, you gotta go.
yeah, fair enough. But the 7 deadly sins were so ugly. They're just so ugly in this movie. Oh man. So yeah, obviously he doesn't work because Dr. Savannah is a piece of shit. And he gets sent back to his little car. He causes a car crash because he just keeps acting up in the car.
Listen, he doesn't cause that car crash.
He absolutely did. He started acting up. He
started acting up, yeah, but his dad was like, if you're the dad and you're behind the wheel and your kid starts going crazy like that, any responsible parent would have pulled the car over. Like, this is a kid.
Yeah, but
something could have been wrong with him.
He's not responsible.
Exactly. Like, you know what? For everything else that happened after this, I'll blame Dr. Savannah. But that was on the dad and the older brother because, like, they could have stopped this they could have de-escalated this. There were so many things that they could have done.
Yeah, but they're not going. Yeah, but that's the whole thing. They didn't. So the car crash happens. Fucking daddy loses his legs. The brother just died, right?
No, he was alive.
Oh, he was alive? Does he come back up in the story?
First, they swerve through, like, they almost hit a tree and some other traffic, and then he stops. Here's the thing. This is where it becomes really the dad's fault, because he stops in the middle of the road, turns sideways, and he's like, Daddy, are you serious, you little shit? Are you fucking, like, he's like, we could have been killed. And then they get T-boned because they're parked in the middle of the road.
Yeah, that's
and then they all get, like, the car gets flung, and the dad gets flung out the window. And the older brother is like, this is your fault. No, it's his dumbass fault. He parks in the middle of the road.
Yeah. So, I mean, Dr. Savannah kind of grows up to be hella obsessed with this
fine as shit
Rock of Eternity. Which I kind of get it, though. You know, I think I would too, but probably not to that level. Like, he becomes obsessed. He also has money. Maybe I would if I had money, you know? But he has, like, a whole research team trying to just get back to the Rock of Eternity.
Yeah, because he saw some symbols on his little magic 8-ball, and he was like, what the hell is this? And he has his team of scientists not only interviewing, but gaslighting other people who were tested by the wizard. They're like, oh, so yeah, in cases of mass hysteria, this is what? Like, and then the fact that the doctor doesn't even think it's real, but he finally gets all the symbols and he's like, I don't need your ass no more. So he writes everything on the door because he's like, yeah, I'm gonna get back to this rock. And she's like, you can't possibly believe that behind this door is a wizard. And she puts her hand on the door, and when I tell you it burned her to death, you would have thought that the Thanos snap happened because she was ash.
Yeah, and then he still opens the door. I was like, if I would have saw that happen in front of me, I would have been like, all right, there has to be another way to get there. Like, I don't want to do it like that. But how does he
thing is, Dr. Savannah, how you built like an insecurity? Because when he goes back to the Rock of Eternity and confronts the wizard, he was like, you even remember me? He was like, yeah, Daddy is Savannah. You weren't worthy. He was like, do you know what that does to a kid? Telling them that they're not worthy. Like, yeah, your dad should have took you to therapy. Maybe to a regular person, it would just be a weird thing that happened. But because you are built like insecurities and trauma, it became like the most important thing in your life.
Yeah.
So then he unleashes the 7 deadly sins. But here's the thing. So they're trapped inside this little ball, right? This motherfucker put the ball in his eye.
Sometimes it's just how it's got to be. I mean, he gets a lot of crazy powers at that point too, but I don't know if I'm willing to get possessed by demons for it.
To be fair, though, his weird demon eye, because Mark Strong is really hot, it was really hot. Yeah. So then the wizard doesn't have any more time to wait. He's been waiting on a champion for like 1,000 years. And Billy Batson, he gets put in another foster home earlier in the film because he's run away 23 times, which seems like that should be some kind of record. He gets placed with 2 nice people. They said they're married. They used to be foster kids, so they foster kids, and they have a bunch of different kids there. They've got Darla Dudley, they've got Eugene, they've got Pedro, they've got Mary. They have Freddie Freeman. Yeah, that's all of them. That's the Shazam fam. And they're all kind and welcoming, but they don't understand the phrase "ride together, die together, bad boys for life," because while Billy is acting like an asshole up until this point, this is where we catch up with Dr. Savannah and the Wizard and Billy Batson and the Shazam fam, because Freddie is getting bullied, right? He almost gets hit by a car. And these two teenage assholes decide they're gonna. Freddie is also disabled, like he walks with like a crutch. So they decide we're gonna beat the shit out of this disabled preteen. So they start like tussling with this kid, and Mary is the meme. Jason, no, this isn't you. That's what Mary's doing on the side.
My thing is, the entire school is just sitting there and watching this disabled kid get beat up. Even his family. I was like,
Mary, as the older sister, she calls them by name and it's like, stop it. I was like, Mary, if you don't go in there and throw them bows, like, I could never see my little brothers getting beat up. Like, it probably wouldn't happen. They like to fight, but I could never see them. If one fights, we all fight. I was like, Darla need to be in there biting ankles. The only people that hopped in, the first Billy actually walks clean away. That was the thing that was so funny. Freddie starts getting bullied. He puts up his hood and starts walking home.
Yeah, I can't believe it. It's the fact that he's disabled too, which just adds a whole other level to it. That's just so wrong. But at least Billy comes back.
Yeah, Billy comes back and smacks one of the bullies in the face with the crutch, and the other one he hits in the nuts.
And then he runs away.
Wait, he doesn't run away yet. First, Eugene's cute self. He's one of the little brothers from Fresh Off the Boat. He's a really cute kid. He comes in and grabs one of the bullies, has nunchucks in the waistband of his pants, and he's like, back off, I know how to use these, asshole. And he takes the nunchucks, and at first I was like, oh shit, okay, Eugene, and he hits himself right in the face.
You know what? Another fun fact that I also learned last night is that Rebel Wilson can also use nunchucks. Like, she's actually trained.
Why?
I don't know. She competed in a ninja competition and everything.
That's crazy.
Yeah, right. Fun fact for you again. But,
I love that. And now, after Eugene gets hit in the face, Billy takes off. And now we have him running for his dear life. And when I tell you he's running through the city, he's running through the streets, he's running through the subway. He gets on the subway. Finally, he's outpaced these bullies. And in all that time, none of the Shazam fam decides to step in. And like, as soon as Billy takes off running, they all crouch around Freddie. They're like, Freddie, are you okay? Excuse me, Billy is running for dear life.
Yeah, they didn't really give a fuck about Billy, honestly. Not at this point, at least.
He was they tried to care, but he was an asshole to them all day and night. So they was just like, oh, bye ho.
I mean, I get it. I'd be an asshole too, kind of, if I had to deal with what Billy was dealing with.
If you got abandoned at a winter fun fair.
But anyways, so on the subway, that's when Shazam the Wizard catches up with him and like summons him to the Rock of Eternity, which is the source of all magic, by the way, which is really cool. I don't think we mentioned that. But,
oh yeah, and he does say that. He was like, you're standing at the source of all magic.
But yeah, so I think that's just interesting fun fact again. But yeah, so obviously Billy is like pure of heart and whatever. So he gets the power. I love
that you didn't mention the most interesting fun fact. It's the fact that the fucking wizard Shazam is Jimmy Hunsu, who is not an old man. Like, Jimmy Hunsu is in his 40s, maybe his early 50s. And he's very handsome. And they really put this long white wig and beard on him. They could have just hired an old man.
But why do that whenever you could just put a horrible wig on somebody and call it a day?
I mean, the horrible wig honestly did kind of make the fit, because he had on this like ridiculous outfit. I was like, damn. He starts talking to Billy, and I know you disagreed. You said you wish the wizard was more goofy. I love the seriousness with which all of these lines were delivered, because he is giving the dramatic performance of his life to somebody who doesn't give a damn. Because Billy is like, where the hell am I? Who are you? And he's like, I don't know you like that. He's like, he starts telling him the story of the Council of Six Wizards. He's like, I'm the last one remaining. He was like, years ago, we all chose a champion, and they chose to use their powers for revenge and for greed. And I was like, oh, so that must be like Black Adam or whatever. So I said, I will only give my powers to one who was worthy. And I was like, period. Jimmy Hunsu in this horrible wizard costume. And he was like, so lay your hands on my staff and speak my name. And he
and
was
Billy
like,
goes,
ew.
That was funny.
The thing is, it'd be different if he wasn't actually holding a staff. He was like, lay your hands on my, he said, ew.
But then obviously, and he doesn't even tell him his name. He's like, say my name. And he's like, well, what is it?
I just met you today. I don't know your name. And he's like, Shazam. And he's like, okay, Shazam. And then he like, not only does a bolt of lightning hit him, the wizard starts fading into dust. What the fuck?
I think that's also just not like they don't bring as much attention to it as they should. Whenever he turns into Shazam, an actual bolt of lightning hits him. Like it's a pretty serious thing.
And
like,
he keeps on doing it indoors.
That's what I'm saying. And like it keeps making holes in the ceiling and shit. And at one point it blows out all the electricity in the house. I was like, bro, like an actual bolt of lightning hits you. You have to know that.
My thing is that was the most in character thing for like what he was supposed to be like 13 or 14. That was so in character because I was like, how do you not understand that when you are hit by a bolt of lightning, maybe don't do that inside?
Yeah, right. Right. Because he even ran into the bathroom at one point in a random building and was like, Shazam. And I was like, you can't just go be doing that in a building. You can't. You just cannot do that.
What if he did that in the hospital and the power blew out?
I don't know.
Clearly, we established that he does not do logical or smart things all the time.
Because he's 14. Yeah, he's literally 14 years old.
Having the wisdom of Solomon means nothing when you have the brain of a teenager.
Yeah, he doesn't really take advantage of the wisdom of Solomon in this movie at all. Come to think of it.
He does have, one thing though, I feel like he doesn't get enough credit for the courage of Achilles because he is a brave little boy. Because there's no way that somebody who is tall, fine, and evil looking like Mark Strong, you'd be like, I want the powers. I'd be like, all right, I got them for you. Here you go.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I would make some deals so that way I could keep him. Yeah, because he comes in ominously. He like slowly floats in. He summons demons. Like you got me fucked up when you ever see one demon. You know what I mean?
So, we kind of left out the middle. So he starts, integrating into the family more. He still won't, they like to give each other dap and pray, but it's not really a real prayer. They just kind of rhyme. So he's not participating.
Every night the father like just drops some little mixed beats on everybody. It's fucking amazing. He's just like, let me freestyle right now for y'all.
But so he's not going to school. That's the thing that's so funny because you would think a foster kid with a history of running away from homes and skipping school, you would think the school would know to tell the parents, but they don't. And him and Freddie are doing dumb shit. Like on the first night when he finds out he has powers, they save a gas station from being robbed, but they also break their window. But they're testing out the powers, and he's like, he gets shot in the chest, and he's like, oh my God, I'm invulnerable. And then Freddie's like, we don't know if the suit is invulnerable or if you are. So he tells the robbers to shoot him in the face.
Yeah. Could you imagine? Yeah, no, Freddie is so reckless about everything. He's like, just everything. Because there's like a lot of this movie is just sequences of him like discovering what powers he has.
And they do this by YouTube. So they're so easy to find.
I was thinking about that too. And every single time though, he's doing something completely dangerously reckless. Like whenever he's like, all right, we're going to try teleportation, get in the box and we'll see if you can teleport. And he lights the box on fire because he's like, all right, you are also fireproof. Like, what the
fuck? Throughout each one of these, he has, they even like stop a lady from getting mugged. They are workshopping names the whole time. So what's going on with Dr. Savannah in the meanwhile? So he goes to he's super rich. We mentioned that, right? He goes to the board meeting for Savannah Industries, which is his family's company. And his dad is sitting there in his wheelchair at the end of the table. And he's like, do you remember that day in the car? And he was like, he just literally busts in the meeting and just starts talking. And it's the most random shit. Cause he's like, you remember that day in the car when I said something that happened and this and this and that and the third, and his brother stands up and I was like, so you still built like a bitch.
He doesn't even stand up though, not until like he has a whole speech that he wants to do sitting down about how he's not a man, and then he attempts to stand up.
He does like that half crouch lean thing that people do when they really think they're doing something. And he's like something, it's your fault that dad was in that accident. And I'm like, no, it was dad's dumbass fault because dad is the one who parked in the middle of the road. But here's the thing, they really got me. The brother looked old, like he looked old manly. And Mark Strong is young and strong. So I'm like, he's talking all this noise. He's like, I don't make me have to physically remove you from this building. Like, what are you gonna do when the punches get thrown?
I don't know, but in the swiftest movement ever, he picks him up and throws him through the glass. And this is on like the 79th floor of a building or something.
Literally, he's flying out, and it's so funny, but you're just like,
it was the swiftest movement. It was over in like a solid second. If you like, it was crazy.
And then his dad is like, Thaddeus, what the hell? And so this fool, when I tell you he lets all them 7 deadly sins demons out, and they got the whole board shook. And he's like, okay, Dad. So he starts talking to him. The demons are, they killing, they chilling. No, so okay, so he's like, well, Dad, the dad is like, help me. Because the motor on his chair ain't working. And I was like, see, partner, that's why you got to diversify. Because if it was me and I knew one of my sons was gonna be evil as a motherfucker, because you could tell, like, there should have been some warning signs that he was coming to kill y'all over the years. But when I tell you, I would have had the manual, the electric, the everything ready to go. He should have been able to transfer out of his chair into his new chair and speed the fuck off. That was his fault for poor planning next to his little serial killer son.
So he just lets, who is it, Envy kill him?
I don't know.
It was greed. Greed kills him because he's obviously a billionaire and he's greedy. So yeah, he lets greed kill him.
And then, like, you see outside, and I guess people can see in. It's the glass is frosted, like, so you can't see everything, but you can see that there are people and something's happening. And all these people start crowding up against the windows because they're like, save us, save us, save us. And then all of a sudden they're engulfed by blackness. And in the middle of all of this, while they're harassing John Glover, the 7 deadly sins, they're like, ooh, the wizard picked a champion. He's like, we have to kill the champion. It's a child. Wait, no, he didn't say it's a child. They don't know Billy's a child until they literally start fighting. So he's like, oh, it's time to go. And he's like, okay, so let me just handle my business real quick. So that's when he decides to kill the board. And then we go back to Billy Batson, Billy Batsy. And Billy and Freddie are in the middle of an argument, or they start having an argument because Freddie wants, I don't even remember what name he used, because he's literally used 50 billion names while uploading these YouTube videos. But he wants Billy to come as Shazam to school for lunch. And Billy's like, I'm not going to do that.
He's like the Red Tornado, I think is what they were calling him at that point. I think that's what he's known as.
But the Red Tornado was a whole other guy.
Yeah, it was the Red Thunder or the Red Tornado or something. I don't know why. It's not like he ever made a tornado at any point. But yeah, And then so at that, they're arguing, and then he's like, okay, the bullies show up again. And then he's like, no, you're not gonna fuck with me. My friend is the Red Tornado. Something like that. I can't remember.
And they're like, okay, so prove it. Have him come to school emergency. He's like, I will. So instead of doing that, the next day, Billy, he's out living life.
You know what? Quick side note. The detail in his suit was kind of insane. Did you notice it? It's a bunch of like magic symbols across the entire thing, similar to how Superman's suit was in the Man of Steel.
Mm-hmm. It was gorgeous. So and then if you look inside the lightning bolt, there's lightning.
Yeah, it's insane. They did so much work on the suit alone. I was like, all right, good for you guys.
Speaking of the suit, we got to talk about the makeup for a second. I know this is like, we're still halfway through the movie, but they do so much work to make Zachary Levi he's an attractive man. He's not really my type because he's kind of goofy, but they do so much work on him to make him still attractive, but not sexy. It's so deliberately unsexy. Like, he looks the same, but it's like they did their best to all his sexiness. They were like, no, absolutely not.
Not if you're playing a child.
Yeah, you are a kid. Nope, let's tone it down.
Yeah. So, I mean, like you said, he skipped school. Understandably, I would have done the same thing if I had all these powers. I didn't even go to school without powers.
And then he's giving autographs, he's acting up, and Freddie comes and charges him up. He's like, oh my God, I got the shit beaten out of me today because you didn't show up for school. And he's like, well, you're okay. He's an asshole. I don't know. They get into some argument and he ends up using his lightning to blast up, and he hits like a bus.
Yeah, he doesn't really ever take responsibility for this bus either. But I was like, bro, this is 100% only your fault in this situation. Yeah, so he flies over to help the bus. So he blows the tire off the bus, and the bus is on like an overpass type of thing. So then whenever the tire gets blown out, obviously the bus kind of goes a little bit crazy and starts to fall off the overpass. And if he would have realized he could fly at this point, this would have solved every single problem. But he doesn't. He just sits there at the bottom waiting for the bus to fall and he catches it. See, where was the wisdom of Solomon then? Yeah, so I mean, he saves the bus, and then everyone is like, "Oh my God, good for you! Like, thanks so much." And it's like nobody wants to acknowledge that that was his fault. Lightning doesn't just fly out of the sky and hit tires, you know.
Somebody does acknowledge that it was his fault. It was Freddie. He was like, "Oh my God, I just saved that bus." He was like, "Yeah, after you put all those people in danger," and then before Freddie can even work himself up into being really mad, like a good mad, Dr. Shyvana descends from the heavens in the most horrific way possible. It was such a slow, like deliberate decline in the background of their argument. And then he's like, "You, give me your magic." And he's like, "Dude, what the hell?" And Billy didn't see him descend from the heavens. So I think he thinks he's some guy who just walked up. Because I would have been more cautious if I had seen that. But he's like, "Yeah, you don't know about this, but I'm finna whoop your ass." And Dr. Shyvana starts beating the dog shit out of him. He beats him here. He beats him there. Dr. Shyvana beat him everywhere. He beat him in the sky. He beat him on the ground. Anywhere there was to be beaten, somewhere was found.
That damn bird in the background. Can you hear it? It's so loud.
It's really going hard.
I know. He's sitting there. He's making his rhymes too. He was like, "Hey." He heard you.
Hey, the fact that I was going hard with that rhyme, okay?
The whole time I'm just listening
but I'm
to
not
this
a
damn
rapper.
bird. Oh man. Yeah, so I mean the next like 30 minutes of this is just him basically running away from Savannah, but he realizes he can fly at this point, which is a great skill to have. You know what I mean?
Especially if you're being chased by some bald madman. Like it gets to the point where he falls through a little clothing store, and this black lady who works there and this other lady, they're like looking at him like, and he was like, yeah, I just need a second. So he closes the door because he fell through the fitting room. Dr. Shyvana comes. He must have walked through the store.
Yeah, it was the mall.
Opens the door. Shazam came in through the ceiling. Dr. Shyvana like walked up. So I'm like, he walked through that's got to be funny as hell. Like if you see this stuff on the news later, you know.
No, I don't
You'd
think.
be like, "Oh my God, that was that bald guy who walked into my store."
This man has like a glowing eyeball, and I know the world doesn't know he's possessed by demons, but still, that shit is scary.
First of all, if I turned and saw that, the way I would have just minded my business, I would have pointed to. He's back there.
I wouldn't have even done that. I'd been like, I've never seen a bald man with a glowing eye in my life.
No, I meant Shazam. I would have been like, he's back there going, "Oh man,
yeah,
he in the fitting room."
I would be like, he's laying on the ground.
Door. That's the other thing. He opened the door and he's like, Shazam's on the ground, like shit. And Dr. Shyvana punches him through the wall, and on the other side of the wall is like a toy store.
Mind you, it's Christmas time right now. This is like a week before Christmas, so obviously this whole mall is like hella popping right now,
overloaded with toys. And my thing is, they're literally squabbling in a children's toy store, like full of stuffed animals. And at one point, Billy says, "Save me, Batman," and throws a Batman stuffed animal at him while he tries to get away.
And Batman has like some pre-recorded voice things too, so he says some stupid shit. Like I'll say, it's so stupid.
What is it giving? Like, "I am the night."
Yeah, there was some dumb shit like that. He just proceeds to get beat the fuck up. That's basically what happens during this part.
And he manages eventually to get away by, he tells him at the onset of this fight, because he said something stupid to him. And he was like, "What are you?" And he's like, "You have the mind of a child." And he was like, "I am a child." And he was like, that meant nothing to him. He didn't even hesitate. He was like, "Fuck these kids.
Fuck them kids." It's because he was pleading for his life too. He goes, "You grovel like a child." And he's like, "Because I am."
Yeah, it was that. And he was like, "I am a child." He was like,
"Damn, that sucks." And then throws him like miles towards the earth because they're up in the sky.
My thing is, you've made your entire life around your traumatic childhood incident. Yeah. And you're like, "Fuck kids." Like, that's so crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess whenever you have all the demons inside of you, because it was kind of established later on that his sin was envy. But how are you going to be envious of Billy Batson? You know what I mean?
I think he would have been envious of anybody the wizard chose for having a power that was denied him. So eventually, Dr. Shyvana is like, "Wait, he was with another kid." So he grabs Freddie and like starts terrorizing him. And he's like, "Where's Billy?" And he's like, "I don't know."
Yeah, that part's kind of almost it's like really almost hard to watch. It's kind of in a goofy way, so it makes it like a lot more lighthearted, but it's still like he's almost torturing these kids, at least psychological torture, the entire family, which is insane.
And then, yeah, so Freddie takes him home because he's like, we're going home. And so Rosa and I can't remember what the foster dad's name was, but they were so cute. But I know her name was Rosa because it's not hard to remember. It's 4 letters, you know. Victor. Hector?
I have no idea.
Yeah, it's Victor. It's Victor. Rosa and Victor, they go out and they're because they have a whole little incident where they all figure out that Billy is.
Oh wait, yeah, Billy goes home and then he's like, and then Rosa the whole family
are mad.
Yeah. Yeah, but they had figured out that he's Shazam at this point. For some reason, they decide to tell, because Eugene is really smart. He can figure out like pretty much anything technologically, you know? So he figures out that Billy's mom, is still alive and figures out that she went back to her maiden name. That's why Billy could never find her and whatever. And tells her where to find the mom. I was like, what is the point of all of this? I know you're trying to get in good graces with him and whatever.
But they already figured out that he was Shazam by then because because Mary's smart too. She was like, she sees him on the news and she's like, oh my God, it's that Captain Sparkles or whatever, because they all say a different dumbass name every single time. And she's like, is it him arguing with Freddie? How does Freddie know him? Like, and then they're like, oh my God, do you remember when Billy and Freddie were arguing like, oh, married couple just like this? And Billy they were talking about Sparky Electric Hand Man. I don't know, I can't think of any of it.
I know. So she figures it out and then
they all do. And then Darla's like, yeah, I'm so glad you guys figured it out. And they're like, you knew the whole time? And she's like, yeah, but I didn't tell you because I'm a good sister. I was like, period.
But yeah, so he goes to go see his real mom.
Okay, so Victor and Rosa, they leave because they're like, oh my God, like we kind of know where he's going. They're like, y'all stay here. And they stay here. And then fucking Dr. Savannah comes in and they're like, Freddie, like, where have you been? Da, 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 da. And Dr. Savannah walks in behind him. He's like, how quaint. And then he says, actually, it's a shithole.
Yeah, I was like, bruh, leave these foster kids alone. Not everybody was raised with a billionaire father who doesn't love you. Like, come on.
Exactly. Like that's another thing he envies, the fact that they have a family that loves them.
I envy the fact he has money. Shit.
I'd love to say I'd rather have love than money, but you know, I figured maybe let me try living a loveless life with money first before I really make that decision.
That's what I'm saying.
They go to visit his mom, formerly Rachel Batson. She was going by some dumbass name. And then he's like at the door and she's like, listen, I'm already about to be late for work. I don't want to buy any Boy Scouts, anything. I know God. She starts giving him the door speech, like, listen here, get away from my door. And he's like, no, it's me, Billy. And
yeah, this part was the worst part in the entire movie, like 100%, because at this point you're thinking, you know, Billy just kind of lost his mom because he dropped his ball and he walked away, couldn't find her again, whatever, you know. But then the mom is basically like, I was 17, daddy kicked me out because I got pregnant. I was struggling. I couldn't take care of a kid. So whenever you walked away, I saw it as an opportunity for me to leave. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, fuck you, Rachel Hoffman or whatever your fucking name was. And she has like a new boyfriend or something because you hear him yelling in the background at her. And it's like obviously not a good situation. You know what I mean? Oh, that part is so bad. And then poor little Billy Batson, he's just like, here, you take this.
Wait, he hands her the compass because he's like, you know, I just want you to know I was okay.
He said, you're going to need this more than I do or some shit like that.
No, but she looks at it and she's like, what is this? And like, this meant nothing to you. Like, this is my treasured possession that I've been carrying around for years because I thought you were looking for me too. And it meant nothing to you. Like, that was devastating. And I'm like, first of all, this is a kid. This is a movie for kids. And then he gets a call. He starts walking down the hallway, like trying not to let this woman see him cry. And he gets a call from Freddie. And he's like, Freddie, I'm sorry. Da, 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 da. And it's Dr. Savannah. He's like, come home, Billy. I was like, oh my God.
Can you imagine? Like, this is the worst day of your life. And then it just only gets worse from there. Like, there's no break for this poor 14-year-old kid.
It's just horrible. So he Shazams, like he gets on the roof this time. This is the first time he's ever, thought
which
people
is good.
live here.
Yeah, he was in an apartment building, so if he would have Shazammed in there, that would have been pretty bad. Either way, yeah. So he's up on the roof now, and he
hits that Shazam. That's Shazizi, and he like flies into the back garden. And I was like, okay. Whoever choreographed this, whoever did the flying, they did such a good job on these landings because usually they look stupid when a character can fly, but he landed so effortlessly in this garden. And Dr. Savannah was giving villain because he's he's like, okay, come inside. He's like, no, you let them outside and I'll come inside. And then he lets the demons go. And he's like, how about this? You come inside and maybe I'll let them go. I was like, those are horrible odds.
Also, at this point, after, because they've already fought and he's already got beat up, and he's like, weapons of man can't destroy. It's only magic can destroy magic, which is kind of important at this part. We forgot to mention that. Yeah, but he ends up going inside because he doesn't really have much of an option, and he's a child again. Like, what is a child going to do against this well-established older man with demons on his side?
Dr. Savannah, he calls the door to the Rock of Eternity, and he's like, okay, go through. And he's like, okay, go through. And somehow Billy just left this. Oh, because when Billy left earlier, he just wished that he was out. So he just left the staff just unattended,
Yeah,
so it's really easy to find. He's like, okay, put your hands on the staff and you better say your name. And he was like, no. Then his siblings, they are gonna do it. They're like, he's like gonna do it, and his siblings are like, no. And Freddy throws a batarang, his replica batarang, at the back of Dr. Savannah's head while all the demons are out, and it cut him.
Yeah, so this is when the wisdom of Solomon's finally kicking in, and he's like, oh, if the demons aren't in his eyeball, then we can harm him with normal weapons. Makes sense. Makes sense.
Then he starts trying to rock Dr. Savannah and shit and like throws him in the corner. But with the staff, here's the thing. He retains possession of this staff the whole time during this fight. It pissed me off because I was like, if you had already knocked him out a little bit, grab the staff. And they all take off running through the Rock of Eternity, and they find a door, and they're like, okay. And they're like, okay, I don't know how to make it work. And they're like, how'd you get out of here last time? And he's like, I just wished I was somewhere else. And they're like, wish you were home or wish somewhere. And do you know where they come out of? Where do they come out of, Andrew?
They come out of the damn strip club, which, by the way, had free wings. So I get it. I get why you go there. And Mary's carrying Darla, covering Darla's eyes, and Darla's like, why can't I see? And she's like, you're not old enough. I was like, if anyone, Darla's the most responsible.
But my thing is, them and Darla, they got the same thing. You need to be covering Eugene, Freddie.
So yeah, it continues on for like another 20 minutes of Billy losing, Shazam losing the fight.
Well, it's not just losing. The kids, they regroup through the Winter Carnival. But here's like, but he's still adult Shazam. And they're like, Billy, turn your powers off. So then he says, Shazam, Dr. Savannah, he makes his reappearance, from the netherworld. And he looks over into the horizon and he sees a giant flash of lightning at the Winter Carnival.
Yeah, so that obviously tells you where he's at. Obviously, because again, this doesn't just happen, and Dr. Savannah is not stupid. He knows what the lightning means, so he kind of played himself on that one.
Exactly. So there, at this point, he gets to the Winter Carnival, and he was like, "Listen here, Shazam, I'm gonna kill everybody. How about that? I'm gonna kill everybody in here." He's like grabbing people, grabbing the kids. They're all fighting. They are scrambling. They finally understand the rules to this gang shit because he starts fighting with Billy. They start fighting the demons. They're like, we gonna divide and conquer. I'm like, okay, bravery, okay, smarts. It doesn't work because he gets all the kids rounded up. He gets them all rounded up, and he like makes Billy like kneel. It was weird.
It was weird.
Like, I'm gonna make you beg me, and I was like, you are an asshole. This is a kid.
And he has to know that he's legitimately a kid at this point. Like, there's no way he doesn't know at all. But then, so whenever he touches the staff, the Shazam, the wizard, is speaking to him.
It was a flashback from when he told him to lay his hands on the staff. And Billy, I think he kicked him in the nuts or something.
I don't know. I think I don't know. Either way, but he got the staff from him. And then he tells the entire family to like, hey, touch the staff. And
he's like, okay, let's run. And then like...
They really should have just made like another callback and just said "you" at that point, because it would have been really funny. But they missed that opportunity.
They had their adrenaline was up. They were like, okay, so they all do it. You know, they're used to throwing their hands in. Billy doesn't say grace with them, so he's not used to the teamwork. And he's like, okay, so just put your hands on the staff and say my name. And then so they all look around, they take a deep breath, they're in sync. And what did they say?
They fucking, with their entire chest, they're like, Billy! And that was the funniest moment in this entire movie. That shit made me laugh.
The funniest moment was the second after, where they really like looked surprised that nothing happened.
And then he's like, no, say the name that I say to turn into this guy. And they're like, oh, Shazam!
Shazam!
And then boom, there's the Shazam fam in full glory. Ooh, I shouldn't say it like that. That sounds like they're all just naked.
Everybody is so gorgeous. Like, all these actors, they're usually very fine. Like, Freddie Freeman was Adam Brody, who was gorgeous. So, like, they're usually, and then Ross Butler, Megan Good, they're all, like, usually fine. And DC Comics did everything they could to make them still good looking, but not sexy at all.
Yeah, because they're still children at the end of the day.
They were like, no sexiness. None.
But these costumes were it. Darla's was my favorite by far.
Oh, the jumpsuit. She was killing it with that.
Yeah, and then obviously a whole team of Shazams is, I don't want to fight a team of Shazams because this man is crazy powerful. Like, I don't want to deal with that. So what Dr. Savannah still does, I was like, dude, you do realize what's happening here, right?
So like, the Shazam fam, they start whooping the demons' ass, but the demons are also, they're kind of at a stalemate. They're doing really good though.
And you know what they really should have done, and I know it's probably not going to happen, but this is the time that they should have introduced the Teen Titans. It was such an easy segue into Teen Titans, but they don't.
In what way? I'm so curious.
These are all Raven's half siblings. These are the same.
Oh my God,
siblings.
are they?
Yeah. I don't know if we ever actually mentioned that, but Raven is a half demon, and all of her siblings.
No, I thought Raven's half siblings were like from other planets, and she only had like 2 or 3.
They're all the demons of envy, pride, wrath, gluttony, everything.
Wild. Okay.
Yeah.
Our girl has layers.
That's why I was like, this is the best time if you wanted to put them into the DCEU. This is the perfect segue into Teen Titans. But anyways, back on track. Obviously the Shazam fam ends up kind of winning this fight a little bit. Like, it becomes a little bit more uneven as they
but it's so funny because
figure out their powers more.
Are children. And he eventually, Billy has the wisdom of Solomon. He eventually uses it to goad Dr. Savannah into letting his last demon go so that he could overpower the demon and win the fight. And then he does the crazy shit ever. I wasn't expecting to see him pull out his eye, but he did.
And then he's like hanging off the side of a building at this point, because that's, just kind of what happens. Shazam destroys, what was it? It was Envy. Envy was the last one. He destroys Envy, and then whenever he destroys it, he
literally just lets him fall, and then he grabs him like right when he's about to hit the asphalt. He's like, "Yeah, you go to jail."
The way that the fucking camera angle was, because this man was falling in slow motion, and they made sure to show you that these are red bottoms the entire way he was falling. I was like, bro, you don't have to do it like that. But it was so funny to me. So yeah, he catches him, and then they're on the bottom. Everybody starts cheering, because they're like, "Oh, you saved the day.
We are saved."
Yeah.
So what happens at the end? They living their regular life. Billy finally puts his hand in during the grace. He leads the grace. He's like, "Yeah, I'm part of the fam." He's like, "It might be great to stick around a while." I was like, "Period." And then see all of the Shazam fam at the Rock of Eternity, and they're like, "Oh my God, do you know what this is? This is a layer, a period. This is some real superhero stuff." And they all sit down in the thrones, and then they're like, "Oh, there's like one left. So I wonder who's coming." But yeah, so I was like, it's probably gonna be The Rock.
Yeah, so because now they're making a Black Adam movie, which is obviously going to be more of a spin-off, I suppose, rather than a sequel. I don't really know what they're doing. It's like an origin story about Black Adam, maybe. This was a good movie overall, though. I think it's at least one that you should definitely see at least once, because it's a fun movie. It's just a fun movie. It doesn't take itself too seriously like a lot of movies, superhero movies in particular.
I feel like a lot of superhero movies try to be art, and this really just tries to be like a fun, batshit insane movie. It has so many twists and turns. It never lost the plot though, and I respect it.
Never did. They knew exactly what they were doing with this movie, and they did it very well. And it also had a budget of $100 million, which I think that's a pretty big budget, But you could see everywhere it was used.
Some movies have a large budget, and you can't see where any of it went, especially if the acting is bad, because then you start thinking, I hope this money didn't go to your salary.
You know what, though? The Birds of Prey only had either 75 million or 100 million, and that movie did so much with that budget. Like that, that's a side point, but Birds of Prey, it's insane what they did with that. Yeah, no, this was a good movie. That was the point I was making.
Well, the budget was 82 to 100 million, but they made 201 million at the box office.
What, Birds of Prey?
Mm-hmm.
Good for them. See, I knew I was right. It was somewhere around there.
Period. And I guess with all of that being said, that's all for this week's episode of True Believers.
Yes, so thanks everybody for your support. We will continue to have another what are they called? Another poll this week. And we are super excited. Thank you all for participating in it. And happy holidays and all that.
We'll see you next Wednesday, the 22nd, with another one of our winners. And we're available on all major streaming platforms. And if you really like the show, please leave us a review and continue sharing with your friends. We really appreciate it. And as always, if you want to leave a suggestion on what we read or watch outside of Christmas, you can find us and DM us on social media, email us, leave voicemail at 650-761-2629, or join our Discord. Bye.
Bye.